All right. Good evening, everybody. George Donley here. I want to talk about, what's going on in Bitcoin Cash. So, maybe we can start off with who am I? I'm just a guy who wants to build. Yeah, I just want to build on Bitcoin Cash. I want to build on a decentralized system. Yeah, a lot of people laugh at the word decentralized. Maybe we don't know what decentralized is. Maybe we can't come up with the best definition, but I think I know what it isn't, and it's not what is. It's not what's being proposed um, by Amaury Séchet and Bitcoin ABC. Sadly, so this is really just meant to bring people up to speed, or talk about Bitcoin Cash, onboard new people to Bitcoin Cash, because really, for me, Bitcoin Cash is a vector for serving the world, to create more prosperity, more liberty, to solve a lot of problems, particularly in the developing world, that interests me. And it's just so damn frustrating that just when I'm getting ready to really build here, that we have this problem that is kind of screwing things up a little bit. So I'm going to present to you this article, fairly popular article that I put together for read.cash. First, though, I'm going to kind of pop out the chat here just in case anybody shows up. Now, it's possible nobody will show up today because some people don't like me. And also because I only announced it with a few minutes notice. So, but my goal is to do this for the next 78 days because, if you look at cash.coin.dance, you'll see that we have 78 days and 11 hours until the Bitcoin Cash network upgrade. So that's going to happen at noon UTC on 15th November 2020. And that's really going to be the defining topic for the next 78 days and 11 hours in the Bitcoin Cash world. So this article is also available in Chinese, German. This is on read.cash/@GeorgeDonley. Soon the Russian version will be out. So this is, really a situation that people need to be aware of, because it could result in a lot of challenges, a lot of inconveniences. So, and by the way, for anybody who's watching, in the description there is a Zoom link, and you can join me. Hopefully, Zoom will let me know. Should probably let me know if someone's trying to get in. So, let's take a look at kind of the most recent catalyst for this. Amaury Séchet, August 6th. He is the lead developer of Bitcoin ABC, which until recently was considered to be the implementation, the Bitcoin Cash full node implementation that enjoyed maybe 95% or more of Bitcoin Cash blocks ever were made made by miners who were using Bitcoin ABC. So I'm just going to check this, make sure I'm still on. So Amaury says planned upgrade. scheduled for November 15th, will include 2 improvements. One is the ACERT, ACERT I 3-2D algorithm proposed by Jonathan Tuman and Mark Lunderberg. And what this does is it affects the difficulty adjustment algorithm, which essentially determines the time between blocks, or the time to get your first confirmation when you send a transaction. So we have had some situations where there were turbo blocks. So we might have like 3 blocks in the space of 10 minutes, and then we wouldn't get another block. The difficulty adjustment algorithm would make things a lot harder for the miners, and then we wouldn't get another block for 2 hours. And waiting 2 hours for your first confirmation is a non-starter. So that's nice. But the second quote unquote improvement is the addition of a new Coinbase rule. So there's a lot of verbiage in here. But if you can read it for yourself. Basically, the Coinbase rule is as follows: all newly mined blocks must contain an output assigning 8% of the newly mined coins to a specified address. So what this means is, so in Bitcoin, the new coins are created when miners find a block, and miners, they compete to find a block, to identify a hash that fits the characteristics and that encapsulates the the transactions, the recent transactions that need to be processed. Transactions are just changes to the ledger. Bitcoin is just a digital ledger, a global digital ledger. It just says who has what, who has how many Bitcoins or Bitcoin Cash. So every time a miner finds a block, they as a reward and an incentive, because the miners provide security. Without miners, there would be no security. Anybody could change this ledger any way that they please. And so as a reward for providing this security, miners get 6.25 new Bitcoin Cash. And these are issued Bitcoin Cash, and there is an issuance schedule. So you might see here that today Bitcoin Cash has a circulating supply of 18.5 million. And as many of us know, there will never be more than about 21 million Bitcoin Cash. And so that's how we get to 21 million Bitcoin Cash. That's how new Bitcoin Cash towards that goal, that ceiling of 21 million coming to existence by issuing them to miners. And so now this announcement means that each time after November 15th that a BCH block is created, Amaury Séchet right here, he would like 8% of that to go to him. Now, some people have said, "Oh, George, it's not right that you say, that 8% goes into Amaury's pocket." Amaury has promised that he's going to use it to improve, whatever coin he's able to implement this on. And yeah, I'm not accusing him of being a thief, precisely. I'm not saying like he's going to grab the money and run. I'm not saying he's going to set up a chalet in the south of France and, every time a new block is found, he's going to have another mojito and buy a new yacht. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, whereas currently, the Bitcoin Cash protocol that all of us have known for, since 2009, 100% of the block reward goes to the miner because the miner is providing security to the network. It's a concrete value add. So now only 92% of that is going to go to the miner. And now we're going to send 8% of that to one person. And yes, it is essentially one person. Even if it's a multi-sig wallet, we're still just talking about it going to you only need 2 or 3 people out of that, and he's not going to put as a key holder on the multi-sig wallet of people who currently disagree with him. Amaury is going to call the shots. So that happened on August 6th. And this is not the first time. This is IFP version 4. IFP, which means Infrastructure Funding Plan. We can see version 1 is here, proposed by Jiang Zhuar of BTC.top, a mining pool, on January 22nd. This rapidly fell apart, for better or for worse. And Jiang no longer supports an infrastructure funding plan, at least not this one. Maybe he supports a different one. I don't know. But he's not supporting Amaury's announcement from August 6th, which we'll call IFP version 4. So, and to top it off, not only did this announcement come out of nowhere, essentially after about, not 6 months, maybe about 3 months of voluntary fundraising, in which about 55% of the the annual budget for ABC was raised. There's a whole stream of articles, lots of communication, but now just this sudden change. And so so it's not just it's not just the issue of, do we want to send 8% of the of the new block reward of the new coin issuance to Amaury Séchet? Whatever you want to say he's done for Bitcoin Cash, which he has done quite a lot, I would say. I respect all of his contributions. Well, I don't respect all of his contributions, but I respect the guy. I respect his work. But whatever you want to say about him, I mean, is Bitcoin Cash the place where just because somebody, is maybe a great guy, or, even has saved the day, we're just gonna like change the rules of the whole system? Is that Bitcoin Cash? I don't think so. And another thing also is, if it had been done with widespread consensus and support, and if there was some decision-making mechanism behind it, some kind, for how the funds were going to be used. And, that would be a completely separate proposal. That's not what this is. This is one guy saying 8% goes to me, and I will not engage in a debate. No debate. And ABC people have made the point. It's his software. Bitcoin ABC is his software. That's the name of his full node software. That's his he put together, I mean, he didn't write all the code, but he organized it. I mean, it's forked off of Bitcoin Core. But he's certainly he and the Bitcoin ABC team have put years of work into it. So they can do whatever they want with their software, right? No one can tell Amaury what to put in his software or remove from his software. Yeah, of course. Of course. It's a bit of a red herring. That's not really what nobody's disputing his property rights to his own software. But anyway, so the rest of the ecosystem basically made their position known pretty rapidly. Bitcoin.com is not a fan. Bitcoin.com, of course, includes the wallet, which is the primary wallet in use in the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem. It's probably the best Bitcoin Cash wallet. Local.bitcoin.com, which is a peer-to-peer exchange. And of course, the founder is Roger Ver. So there's a no there. The SLP Foundation, they also say no. The creators and maintainers of SLP token infrastructure, which is the only adopted token infrastructure for Bitcoin Cash, as far as I'm aware. I don't see any buzz about any other token system. And, USDH, USDT, Flex, Spice, these are tokens, popular tokens on, they're on Bitcoin Cash using the simple ledger protocol, SLP. Read.cash is the site we're looking at right now. Read.cash has been onboarding people, they've so this is the growth graph for Read.cash. So as you can see, it started off pretty slow, and I guess around mid-June, it took off a bit, and that's when they instituted the fund. Here are the top donors to the fund. Basically, it's Mark DeMisel and a few others. Basically, I'm here, but I haven't really put that much in, and it's mostly Mark. So Read.cash is actually responsible for onboarding loads of people to the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem over the last year. And they're also doing the mainnet.cash project, which is fully funded. And here, let's take a look here. So mainnet.cash is creating some libraries, I believe, some JavaScript libraries. I'm not sure what else, that are going to make it a lot easier to develop web apps with using Bitcoin Cash. I'm pretty excited to see it because I'm working on some of my own apps. Electron Cash, the wallet, the BCHD full node project, member.cash. So and miners. So miners have really spoken out here. So as you can see, out of the last 1,000 blocks, 479 have signaled for BCHN. So BCHN is a fork of Bitcoin ABC. So it's a full node software. It's an alternative to Bitcoin ABC, one of several, including BCHD, Flowy, Knuth, Bitcoin Verde. But this one is becoming quite popular with miners, this Bitcoin Cash node. And cash.coin.dance keeps track of how many blocks are being produced that signal for BCHN. And so it's up to 48% of the last 1,000. And if you look here, Binance has signaled for BCHN, BTC.top has signaled, Huobi, OKX, Bitcoin.com, and some of these smaller ones have also signaled. So it's in the 60 to 7. So as far as last 7 days hash rate that is either signaling for BCHN or that I know for a fact is extremely against this 8% Coinbase rule, it totals around 65 to 70% at least. Via BTC has said that they will be neutral, and then they said that they would offer ABC as the default option. Antpool has yet to speak, and of course we really need to hear from these three as soon as possible. We need to hear from Jihan Wu or someone else at Bitmain or at Antpool, BTC.com, etc. Because as you can see down here, so Binance. So this block 650395 was produced by Binance Pool and powered by BCHN. So all these are powered by BCHN. BTC.top, Jiangzhuar, powered by BCHN. So all of these, so not all of these, but I would say in the range of 65 to 70% of hash rate is opposed to what Amaury Séchet is proposing. And out of the last 1,000 blocks, almost half have clearly signaled that, in an evidenced fashion. So it's not just the ecosystem, it's not just Roger, it's not just SLP, it's not just Read That Cash, it's also the miners. The miners are not in favor of this. Binance Pool, Huobi, BTC.top, OKX Pool, Bitcoin.com Pool, smaller miners including Peta Pool, Hashpipe, Easy to Mine, otherwise known as WAI. So the Bitcoin Cash, no developers are against it. Bitcoin Unlimited as a project and some of its members individually have pronounced that they're against it. Knuth, Flowy, Bitcoin Verde, these projects are against it. Multiple independent developers are against it. The Zapit wallet is against it. Lazy Fox, General Protocols, and other infrastructures such as the cache address stuff, Cache Fusion and Cache Shuffle, which is privacy tech, mixers, essentially mixing services, Electrum Cash, Crescent Cash mobile wallet, the main SPV wallet infrastructure, libraries, cache accounts infrastructure. So basically, some will disagree with me, but from my point of view, like everybody is against this. Very few people are for it, and I'll take a look in a few minutes at who those people are right after I check. Just want to make sure I'm still streaming. All right. Okay. And, so that also begs the question, like, so, all of these people have said they're not going to build on this 8% Coinbase rule chain. They're not going to build with this. They're not going to build on top of Amaury's 8% siphoning of value into his hands. They're not going to do it. So of what use is this chain, this blockchain where Amaury gets his funding out of the block reward, if there's nobody building on it? If Roger Ver is not here, if their SLP tokens are not being actively developed, if there's a lack of infrastructure on which to build apps, if Amaury has to look outside the ecosystem to a multi-coin wallet in order to and ask them to list his coin, if he doesn't have his own wallets, what is this? What is going on? This is not this. What value is there in that? Very little, I would say. So some are still in the middle. Hypo Yang of Via BTC, as I mentioned earlier, kind of taking a neutral position. Hayden, Bitcoin BCH, he says he will stick with whatever chain retains the Bitcoin Cash branding. That said, he, in all fairness, Hayden is saying things that are positive about Amaury. That's a fact. Chris Troutner, full stack cash. He would like to be on both chains, I guess. Looks like. I'm not sure how that advances anything. So a few people do support Amaury. He's not all by himself, but he practically is. So yeah, the Bitcoin ABC team, which is 3 developers, 2 support staff, and Amaury. Shama, Chancellor, who has his project Stamp, which is, in a very early stage of development. Tobias Rook, who's done some interesting work developing his NFC cards, for BCH payments. Of course, his situation is a bit delicate because he needs, as far as I'm aware, BCHD, full node software, and the USDH stablecoin, and, BCHD is against this. And this USDH stablecoin is running on SLP token infrastructure. And there's, so far, all of the infrastructure is sticking with the no IFP chain. Vin Armani, Tindo Payne, Mike Malley of the now defunct CoinSpice, Tyler Smith, who works for Ava Labs, and Joanna Svermoral, who, you know, seems fairly level-headed, but I'm not sure when the last time he really did any work on Bitcoin Cash is, to be frank. So, yeah, so it also seems that Amaury would lose Purse, BitPay, and OpenBazaar, as well as a lot of more merchant adoption. You know, if he, you know, continues with this maneuver, which seems at this point in time likely to cause him to fork off into his own coin, because if ABC has majority hash rate, then they can essentially enforce their 8% Coinbase rule, and you know, they can have their cake and eat it too. They just need majority hash rate. But the problem is that 65 to 70% of hash rate, you know, just a couple weeks after his announcement, was already against it. And those pools that are slow to define their position, or, you know, whatever. I mean, the real miners are not the pools. The real miners are the people in the pools, and they can switch their pool. That's not hard. You know, if they're not getting what they want out of their current pool, they can switch. And, you know, so the theory is that you know, this will cause this 8% Coinbase rule would cause Bitcoin Cash to have less security, fewer miners mining it, and so it would actually lower the difficulty. And so even though miners, instead of getting 6.25 BCH per block, they would be getting 5.75 BCH per block, because of the lower difficulty, because of the lowered security, they would be getting more. They would be able to find more blocks, and so that their net income might be the same. But, you know, this is, you know, not guaranteed to be convincing in all situations. You know, and Amaury has to, you know, Amaury can fork all the software whose maintainers he would be losing. But, you know, he's got to maintain all that. You know, and he'll have, you know, if he successfully forks off, he'll have the funds to hire, you know, everybody he wants, because, you know, I mean, who knows how much it could really produce. You know, how much money in the pocket this could really produce. But at the end of the day, like, it takes time to bring people up to speed. And you know, if he forks off, like, he's gonna need to be ready from day one. I mean, people are not going to circle back in 3 months and see if your fork is still working. I don't think so. So some people have yet to speak. Jihan Wu, Bitmain Ampool, BTC.com. I think it would be really great if we heard from him. You know, one really nice thing is that the ecosystem can have certainty, so we know what's going to happen. Because the uncertainty can be quite damaging to value as people become frustrated. They become fearful. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to hear about it. USDH and USDT stable coins. Go Crypto is an interesting BCH or multi-coin business, really. But they're probably going to stick with Bitcoin.com. And most adoption efforts will likely stick with Bitcoin.com, as they depend on the Bitcoin.com wallet. So if anyone has questions or whatnot, you're certainly welcome to leave them in the chat. You can also sign on. It says 2 participants in here, but I'm not getting. Okay, looks like somebody is wanting to come on. Hi, did you want to say something? Hello. Okay, you can try back later. All right. No, I'm sorry. Got to remove you because you're not saying anything. All right. So, So let's have a drink of water and get back to the article. So, let's hear out what Bitcoin ABC has to say. What's the motivation? Surely Bitcoin ABC has a reason for this drastic move out of nowhere, right? So let's hear what Bitcoin ABC has to say. And this article has been out for a few days. Let's see. This article has been out for 3 days. And I invite people, this has gotten a lot of views. It's been translated into different languages. It's been distributed to the Chinese community in WeChat. So if there's something incorrect or incomplete here, I invite everyone to contact me. Probably best on Telegram. And let me know, because my intention is not to screw anyone over. At least not with this article. I want to, I really want to, the last 3 weeks, I was just kind of like, all right, we gotta, I don't want to fork. We got to stop the fork. And so I talked to a lot of people. I did a lot of research. I heard different people. And I've come to the conclusion now, it might be unavoidable, But, other people are may not be in that same headspace. Okay, so question from the chat. Thanks. George, what's in this for Amaury besides the income to hire talent? The timing of all of this is confusing. So it is my belief that the primary thing that is in this for Amaury, so they're in personal conflicts going back years. Protocol developers who just don't like each other. There's a whole there are different projects. There's Flowy, that's a full node implementation. There's Bitcoin Verde, BCHD, the new Bitcoin Cash node. There's Bitcoin ABC and Knuth, which used to be known as Bitprim. And people in these different projects or associated with the different projects, they don't always get along. Some of them hate each other with a passion. So it is my belief that one of the things Amaury gets out of this is that some of these people leave, so he doesn't have to deal with them anymore. And of course, if anybody disagrees with anything that I'm saying, you're free to come on the call. The link is in the video description. As to the timing, to you, to the question from the chat. Yeah, I don't know about the timing. I think that, something, Amaury went for the soft approach back in January, February, and it didn't work out. And so now he's going for the hard approach. And I think the patience is exhausted on the ABC side. Does ABC have any blinded support from specific miners, or do you? So I can't comment on ABC on. So I worked for ABC for about 5 months, and whatever information came into my hands from that is protected by a confidentiality agreement that I voluntarily entered into. So I'm not going to comment on that. You can get information at fund.bitcoinabc.org. Do I have any specific support do I have any support from specific miners? No, I do not. No one is paying me to do this. I'm doing this out of my own conviction. So, let's look at the ABC position. So Bitcoin ABC says BCH protocol development is heavily underfunded. So if All right. So I'll give my analysis. Well, let's jump right into the analysis of that one. So yes, I would say protocol funding is meager when you compare it to, for example, Ethereum, where they did a pre-mine essentially, or Avalanche, AVAX, which is doing essentially an ICO and has raised about $42 million, or even Bitcoin Core, BTC. But nor is it unfunded. There is significant funding. For example, if you look at the fund.bitcoinabc.org account website, you can see that about 55% of the $3.3 million goal was raised through about the last week of July. So that was that started in April. So that was about 4 months of work. So there's 8 months remaining in which to raise the rest of it, to fund this year for a total of 3.3 million. So is it underfunded? Sure. Is it unfunded? No. So, and other protocol development teams, the ones I've mentioned before, collectively have raised at least 2,000 BCH, which is about $600,000. And they've gotten some other donations in that time that probably bring them up closer to $1 million via flip starters. Yeah. So, and there's a question here, like, does ABC need to get their full 3.3 million, directly themselves? Or if protocol developers adopt a more cooperative approach, maybe putting them all together, and applying some leadership, some teamwork, maybe the shortfall can be made up through cooperation. That's an open question. I think a lot of them would say no, because a lot of them want different or conflicting things. No one wants to fund Bitcoin ABC enough to do more than maintenance. So Bitcoin ABC maintains that their hands are tied when it comes to developing new features for Bitcoin Cash, raising the limit on the number of in-chain transactions, pre-consensus, a whole bunch of things, everything that you can see on the roadmap at bitcoincash.org, because they have to maintain the existing software. And, to their credit, they have done enormous code cleanup, fixes, and backporting from Bitcoin Core over the last 3 years. However, I have to say, that's great. But was it really necessary? Was there a decision to polish the code instead of attempting to move forward in a less than perfect situation? Like, is Bitcoin Cash really, some Fortune 500 IT department where the code has to be absolutely perfect, spit and polish, tie pushed on all the way up? Or, or is there the possibility that, because if we can make enough forward momentum and build the kind of business community that there is in Bitcoin Core, then that business community can start sponsoring developers. And then as all of that grows, maybe doing all this code cleanup gets a lot cheaper, relative to the amount of money in the ecosystem. Whereas trying to make everything perfect from day one may have strangled the growth of the system. Just a theory, not saying it's true or false. And there's also the question in my mind: was that choice to polish the code base a way of forcing the issue on more funding for Bitcoin ABC? I don't know. I don't know. So another question, from the chat, what does ABC crew think about all this? It's really surprising to me that they completely ignore the noise coming from everywhere. or do they think that they are almighty? Well, you should ask them. You should ask them. It's also surprising the way that they have behaved is also surprising to me. They've personally attacked me. I'm just looking for a way forward. Now, some of them will say, no, George has bad intentions. George is a sociopath. George is this, George is that. Let's make fun of George, blah, 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 whatever. I'm just looking for a way forward. I just want a platform to build on. I do think that I think they think that they have more support than they really do. And also Amaury in his August 6th announcement said there'll be no debate, essentially. Not those words precisely, but essentially. And so there's just not that much communication coming out of there. They cut off the communication from the beginning, in my opinion. So point 3, of what ABC says, Bitcoin ABC is working hard for 3 years and deserves funding. I think it is true that they have been working hard, and maybe they do deserve funding, but what's the cost? What's the trade-off? This is a question that Amaury asks all the time. There is no absolute, should or should not. The question is, what is the cost? And this is a very market way of looking at things, and so if we blow up Bitcoin Cash, if we cast off the whole ecosystem of builders, people who are passionate, who are not here so much for a paycheck as for the vision, who are passionate, who want to see a world with real censorship resistant peer-to-peer electronic cash, that can go up against government attempts to shut it down, that can be resilient. You can't replace those people. You can't replace those people. And actually, and so like if we do what, Amaury deserves, and it costs us the whole coin, like, I don't think so. That's my opinion. But so there was a really good comment I saw on, here it is, on Reddit today. Don't be fooled into believing a single IFP-funded team of disgruntled employees, because they are a little disgruntled, will get more done than a much larger pool of passionate people on a mission. So that's why I'm not, I don't really buy into talking point number 3 there. So number 4, almost all of the other protocol developers working on Bitcoin Cash are incompetent in one way or another. Sorry, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Jonathan Tubman and Mark Lunderberg, just to take one example, put together the new ACERT difficulty adjustment algorithm, and Amaury adopted it. So, no. People in Bitcoin Cash frequently criticize Amaury, frequently in extreme, incorrect, or just rude ways. Yeah, they do. So what? I mean, if you want to be a leader, you got to know how to manage the crazy in people. You can't just throw up your hands and and just tell everybody to get out. Like, you can't build you can't build in the 21st century a successful network unless you can or you're willing to manage the crazy in people, because we all have a little bit of it, don't we? The 8% Coinbase rule will most perfectly align the incentives of Bitcoin ABC with those of the ecosystem as a whole. So yeah, they might, so this is the idea that, if Amaury tanks the coin, then the value of his income is going to go down, just like the coin, because he's getting paid in Bitcoin Cash. And so there is a feedback loop if he completely screws up. But again, if it means blowing up the coin and losing the grassroots, so what? This reminds me of the points about polishing the software and making them everything real nice and organized. If the cost of that perfect alignment is simply too high, and also this alignment is asymmetrical. A talking point that the ABC guys use a lot is, Amaury has been here for 3 years. He was he led the fork away from Bitcoin Core. Just trust the guy. Just shut up. What have you done for Bitcoin Cash? Just trust him. Just give him a chance. All right. So, the income from this, probably his optimistic scenario is $8 million a year. So we're gonna take money from the network and put it into one person's hands, and we're just gonna trust him. I mean, so what if he continues his old tricks and he abuses his position of power? What if he uses the funds to run people out? What if he uses it to to create a situation of communications where people are not welcome, where a certain party line is drilled into our heads over and over again? And once he gets that level of power, so another talking point is, oh yeah, you can just unseat him, to just change the well, that's what we're doing now. And a guy like him that's funded to $8 million a year, that's going to be a lot harder to do. So I don't really accept that point either. So another question from the chat: given that you worked with Amaury before, does he even care what the community thinks of his decisions and behaviors? My belief is that he does not. He does not. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And Amaury is certainly welcome to get on this call, or anybody from the team ABC, and contradict me. So point 7, if Bitcoin ABC does not, so if they don't do the right thing, quote unquote, after implementing the Coinbase rule, then another team can try to replace them. Yeah, I already addressed this. Because once he has that money, first of all, the network is irrevocably changed. We will have intercepted the Coinbase, the block reward payments, and extracted a portion of them for a third party. So how long until governments demand that we do the same for all payments? Right here where I live in Colombia, there is a 17% value added tax. So every time there's a transaction, almost every time they're taking 17% out of that and sending it to the government. So what's to stop the implementation of something like that on Bitcoin Cash once we've demonstrated that it's feasible? And who will stop one man who has millions of dollars in his pocket? That's not even his money, So what other people say? Hold on a sec. So, yeah. So what do other people say about this? Yes, a few people embrace it. Yes, some people are on the fence. Yes, some people just want to see where it goes next. But most people are opposed. Demonstrably, there's evidence. Some people are opposed to the way it is being pushed on the BCH space. It was announced out of the blue, and months after 3 previous versions of the same thing have been attempted and had failed, with literally 0% miner support. Literally, there was BIP, I think it was BIP 99 BIP 9. I think it's BIP 9 voting, and nobody voted for it. Literally nobody, not one miner signaled or voted for this. Some people, it has to be said, are simply opposed to Amaury on a personal basis. They think he's holding back Bitcoin Cash, and they don't want him to have power, more power, especially if it's drawn from the block reward in a way that compromises the whole system, potentially. And that's where the concern about crossing lines comes in, interfering with the miner's incentive, that this might make BCH no longer sound money, no longer a contender to be the real Bitcoin, would reduce chain security too much, would open the door for future government demands. Some people consider this corruption, and the way that it is being done, I have to agree. You're taking what is supposed to be a decentralized, a system without a central authority, without a central regulator, and you are putting one in there, in a sense, because you're taking a little bit of every one of those incentives that pays the miners, and you're putting it into one guy's pocket. Whether it's one guy, whether it's two guys, whether it's a foundation or another legal entity. And over time, that central point is going to grow stronger, and it will be stronger because the very ecosystem is feeding it. And so the question then arises, will this entity be able to dictate new network rules? And will that inexorably bring down the experiment that is Bitcoin, right? Yeah. So personally, I think there is a way to do it right, but this is definitely not it. This is definitely not it. It could have gone another way. Amaury wants to do his own thing. And, and this is a key point here, because I think the worst case scenario for him is, he forks off to his own coin because BCHN got a majority hash rate, a large majority. He gets rid of the people he dislikes. He can do whatever he wants. Maybe his coin is worth $80. Maybe he's still in the top 20 on CoinMarketCap. Maybe he increases his Coinbase rule to 25% or more. And maybe he's got annual income of $6 to $7 million. He's going to be able to do a lot with that, and then he gets to have the next 78 days wreaking havoc with Bitcoin Cash, causing Bitcoin Cash to lose momentum, and he gets to stick that finger in the eye of everybody that that wronged him. He had a post recently that commended people like BCHD project and the SLP folks who really, I think those are pretty, if you're going to pick some targets to try and draw away from Bitcoin Cash into your new coin, those are some pretty good targets, because those are good people, good projects. And he nowhere does it say we will let you share in in the proceeds of our 8% Coinbase rule if you join our side. But if you read behind the lines, that's what it says, in my opinion. So a lot of things could happen on November 15th. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. There's 78 days to go. A lot of things, a lot of different things could be done. Amaury could fork off right now, start collecting his 8% early. Why not? He wants to change the protocol. He's changing the protocol. His proposal is not consistent with the Bitcoin Cash protocol that miners and exchanges have been using for the last 3 years. Certainly not, with the, since the beginning, since the Genesis block. Amaury could also back down. He could change his no debate rule. He could try to find a middle ground. I know for a fact that there are people looking for a middle ground. I know for a fact. But Amaury doesn't seem to want to seek a middle ground. But with 78 days to go, anything could happen. So I don't think there's really much sense in talking about like who's gonna fork or what. Sorry, not who's gonna fork, but how how the thing could go down on November 15th. Whether somebody's gonna get their block first and then it's gonna get orphaned. This is like talking about baseball season in the dead of winter. It's like talking about who's going to win the World Series in December. It's a little bit early for that. What I'm doing today with this live stream, which takes me most undoubtedly out of my comfort zone, and I intend to do this every weekday until November 15th. So that we can have a space to talk about these things, keep up with the news, ask questions. I think that those of us who are opposed to this 8% Coinbase rule need to communicate. We need to ensure that our energy remains high. We need to strategize as to how to ensure that Bitcoin Cash ideally avoids a fork completely. Or at least if Amaury's going to fork off, that most of the value stays with Bitcoin Cash. Let Amaury do his experiment. Let him do his experiment. I mean, that's his. He can do whatever he wants with his software. But this decentralized ecosystem needs to be protected and needs to stay together. So it'd be really good to know what Antpool and BTC.com, for example, are going to do. I've reached out to Bitmain personally to ask what they're going to do. Not to say you should do this or that. I just want to know. It'd be good if others politely and calmly and professionally also asked. And I don't think it's some on the ABC side, some people are like, oh, it's BCH versus ABC, battle cage match. That's not it. That's not what's happening here. Yes, BCHN is going to gain a considerable amount of power, is already gaining a considerable amount of power from all this. But it's not just BCHN versus ABC. It's Amaury versus almost everybody else. And I can't help but see it as an attack on Bitcoin Cash. So this document, is up on read.cash. Read it, share it. Let me know your thoughts. There's another good article here from Jonald about why the IFP is incompatible with Bitcoin Cash. Some really insightful comments here, I think. Some insightful thoughts. And I think we're probably going to end it here. I've been droning on for an hour. I think we're probably going to try to keep these things to an hour. So, if anybody wants to come on Monday, get your questions, whatever. Thanks for listening. George Donnelly signing off.